What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Shane Sams Show. I am so glad to be with you today. I'm hanging out today at my house. I'm in my guest bedroom. If you're watching this on YouTube, I ain't even combed my hair because you know what? I own my own business. I don't got to do anything. Nobody tells me what to do, especially anybody else. Nobody tells me what to do at all, man. But I'm just hanging out today, man. We're going to have a great show for you today. I've got a really good friend on. His name is Jason Brown. He is the only guy that I follow online about options trading. He's an amazing investor and an incredible entrepreneur. I mean, he's so good at marketing, so good at sales, so good at fulfillment. He has a big community in Power Trades University. That is his program where he teaches people all about the stock market and how they can invest in options trading. And he's just a good dude. Like, that's one of my goals with this show always, is to bring you good people. Like, I ain't out here chasing clout and chasing all these people that think they're experts. We have a lot of great guests. We've even got some of them that are famous. You know what I'm saying? They come on here, they hang out, they have a good time because there's good people out there that are famous. But some of them, they're a little bit of a knuckleheads. But this is a good dude, man. I mean, Jason Brown, I've known him since I think 2015. We kind of came up together in the online marketing space. We kind of built our businesses beside each other. Literally, we heard each other's stories on other people's podcasts. Then we connected. We became really good friends. Jason has used a lot of my methodology in building his membership sites and building his communities on the internet. So we think a lot the same way. And he's just good people, man. I remember one time Jason and I were hanging out. He was going on a mastermind trip with me. So he flew down from Detroit, drove down to my house, and he was staying here for a couple of days before the mastermind just so we could, be together. And I've got a big pond behind my house, right? Well, but a pond has to have spillways, y'all, because if you have too much rain, your pond will overflow. So you got to have a spillway to kind of drain all that off. Well, one morning, the little wall in front of my spillway, it collapsed. And I was like, oh, no, man. And Jason got up. Well, he was tired. He'd been traveling all day. He had just experienced a loss in his family. Like, there's so much going on. And he was like, man, let's solve this problem, dude. Let's do this together. And Jason got in the truck with me. We drove down to True Value, talked to my buddy Lee that runs the True Value here in my local town. And we started loading my truck up with sandbags. And this guy coming off the road, coming off experience, he rolled up his sleeves, and me and him were out there in the AM, and he was helping me throw concrete and sandbags into this little breakdown in my dam. And we stopped the drain. We got it fixed. And then we came in, we ate breakfast, and we went to our mastermind. So that's the kind of people that you want in your life, and that's the kind of people that Shane Sams brings you on the Shane Sams Show, man. So we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about options. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about the stock market, and we're going to talk about all the changes that are happening right now in the economy and what patterns are emerging that are going to create the next wave of stock market millionaires, because that's what you want to be, y'all. You want to be a millionaire, right? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'll be back with you here at the end of the show to tie things up. But without further ado, here is my interview with my friend and my go-to stock market guru, Jason Brown of thebrownreport.com. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Shane Sams Show. Man, I'm excited to be here with you today because I've got the coolest dude in Detroit. I got my stock market guru. I got my entrepreneur brother in the house, Jason Brown of the Brown Report. What's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
Shane Sams, what's up, brother?
We'll do this, man. We get to hang out, man. This is some fun, man. We get to talk about. I mean, we already talked about 35 minutes, guys, but we didn't record it, so you don't get to hear the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes of this conversation. But you're gonna get the stuff that's on the stage today, and we're gonna have some fun. Real quick, Jason, man, tell everybody who you are and what you do on the line and out in the world.
Yeah, well, it's exciting to be here. Stock market coach and option trader, Jason Brown, real money options trader. And I teach people how to trade stocks and options. Been doing it for over, 20 years for myself. Ooh. And then been building the business and sharing my knowledge with people for the past about 13 years.
Man, that's good stuff. We've been running the roads at the same time, man. We've been going hard since like 2012, circa 13, something like that, man. And man, I love one of my favorite stories that I tell all the time is when I went to our friend Jill and Josh Stanton's party, and we were at an event, and they were having like this little party at an Airbnb or a house or something. And I go in, there's a bunch of people there, and like Jill and Josh and me and Jocelyn had shared an audience, and so I like people were coming up to me and saying, hi, hello, I listen to your podcast, whatever. And then I just see the Red Sea part of human beings, and I see you coming at me with your arms up, and you just the first thing you ever did was you just hugged me and went, Shane Sams, man, and you just hugged me. And you're
That's
like,
a,
man, I heard your stories, but I tell that story all the time. That was one of my favorite moments as an entrepreneur, was that hug I
that's
got from
exactly
you.
how it happened too. That's
Yeah,
exactly
man.
how it happened. And it's so powerful because you never know what sharing your story and getting out here does for some stranger that you've never even met.
Yeah, man. You got a great freaking story too, man. Like how did you so I know you got into stocks, you started doing that, won it all, lost it all, won it all back, and did those things. But like how did you start like teaching people? Like what was the drive there to actually go out, create content, and like, man, I know some stuff. I need to help other people do this. What was the inspiration for that?
So the inspiration was twofold. So for people who don't know, we grew up poor here in Detroit. And when I say poor, like we slept in sleeping bags. We didn't have a bed. I used to think beds were for grown-ups. So I remember going to my best friend's house. I was like, wow, you got a bed. And he looked at me like, of course. And I'm just like, I thought beds were only for grown-ups. And so I was always trying to figure out how I can make some money and how we could change our financial situation. I became aware of money at that very young age. And it led me down to, everyone starts saying like the stock market, rich people invest in the stock market, stuff like that. And you would hear stuff like, oh, if you put this much away and came back at 20 years later, you would have been a millionaire. And now they were talking about the Googles, the Microsofts, the IBMs back then. And so I was just like, why doesn't everybody just put $2,000 away when they're 18 and come back by the time they're 40 and become a millionaire? So I did
Mm.
that. Took my high school graduation money because where I'm from, graduating from high school, it was like you made it, right? You didn't go to jail, you
That's
didn't
a
get
big
locked
deal,
up, you
son.
didn't get nobody
Yeah.
pregnant. So, so I had like $2,000 from graduation. Took that money to a well-known bank. They just asked me two questions like, so, she said, why do you want to invest? I said, to be rich. Like, why does anybody ever want to invest? And then she was like, you want aggressive funds. So I gave her my 2 grand. I'm like, sounds good. She put me in aggressive funds and that was it. Came back later at 20 years old and until I was 2021. It's like, how's my money doing? It was down to $700. And
Mm.
it almost knocked the wind out of me because I'm like, I thought you come to the professionals because they don't lose money. And so I'm like, I could have lost my own money. I literally said that to her. I said, I could have lost my own money. Like, what are you guys doing? She's just like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, market goes up, goes down. So I was like,
they,
give me my
and that's the
700.
thing is, hey, they don't know what to tell you. Those experts are crazy, man. They don't know what they're doing, dude. They're just charging you fees to not know what to do. Really, pretty much.
Yeah, but that's when I first learned that just because you have a license doesn't make you an expert. It means you studied, you passed the test, and you got the Series 6, 63, and 7, and no disrespect to anyone who has that, but that doesn't mean they know what they're doing. And it doesn't mean that what they're doing fits what you're trying to do. Like I'm trying to
Mm.
get rich. They're just trying to stick it in an account and send you a statement every quarter and come back later 40 years. And I came back after 2.5, 3 years and realized it wasn't going in the direction I wanted. So fast forward, I take the money. I'm like, I'm going to invest myself. I got $500. I spent $200 on some gym shoes, some Jordans that make me feel better. I get really good at growing my account with $500. So I was like, man, if I had more money, I could grow it faster. Then I was realizing like some of the stocks were out of my price range. And that's when I started to learn about options. And options mean you can control the stock versus owning it. So I got really good at flipping my account with options with the $500. I had a scholarship to Wayne University, Mike Giller School of Business here in Detroit, Michigan. So I applied for the student loan, got a $10,000 refund because I knew they would double pay the account. My scholarship took care of like tuition, books, and they was like, you could use the student loan money for room and board. But I'm like, I live at home. It's like, well, you can use
Mm.
it for living expenses or if you want to move. I was like, so I knew I would get the check, and I'm like, I'm going to use it to invest. I
Mm.
take that, I grow the account to $120,000 as a 21-year-old college student, something like that, over 113,000 for sure. I drop out of school, full time trading. I run the account up to about $250,000. I risked a quarter million trying to make 500,000 because I was going to buy a condo downtown Royal Oak. I lose it all. So I lose it
Oh,
all. Yeah, lose
dang,
it
dude.
all. And I have to move back home. And just think, I mean, at 25, I'm 25, 26 is around that time to lose a quarter million dollars. Like that was a lot of money. I'm like, how in the world am I ever going to get a quarter million dollars again? So part of me thought it was the end of the world. And so I'm bringing this full circle to your question. How did I start teaching? When I lost all that money, I was really into personal growth and personal development books. And I was listening to Jim Rohn, and he would say, like, take a picture, document your journey. He was like, it's not always going to be like this. And so I just had the crazy idea. He was talking about taking pictures. I was like, anybody could make money, but how many people could lose money and come back from it? I'm like, that's the real strength. That's the real key. Because if I can make it, lose it, and come back from it, then I'll never be afraid of losing because I know I can rebuild it back. So that's when I got. So when you say like what inspired me to teach, the first level of inspiration for teaching was I was like, I'm going to record myself making the money back and document the journey. And so
Mm.
that's what made me start the YouTube channel.
Hey,
I just was
worst case scenario, it's like at least if I get it all back, I'll have instructions to do it again for myself. Right? It's like
I'll
I'll
have
just record it that way I can go back
instructions.
and watch it again. How'd I do that?
And I was like, either way, it's going to be one hell of a story to
Mm-hmm.
rewatch. It's either going to turn into a good book, a good movie, a good documentary. I don't know. But I was like, let's just document this moment, this time in history. And I'm so grateful that I did. That was the first thing that led me into teaching. The second thing that led me into teaching was on my way of documenting my journey. I was like, I want to help other people in the financial industry or get into understand the financial industry. And so I remember going to get a job. I wanted to be a financial planner. And so I was like, well, how do I went to like this little interview. How can I be a junior financial planner? This and that. And I remember the guy gave me this form. I don't want to say the name of the company, but this guy gave me the form. And he was like, it's like a form, probably 100, 200 names. He was like, you need to fill this out front and back of everybody that you know that has $250,000 or more, quarter million dollars or more. And I'm like, I don't know anybody that has a quarter million dollars. And if they do, they ain't telling me, especially not in the black community. I'm like, we ain't just talking about having a quarter million dollars like that. And so I was like, I don't know. He's like, then you probably won't survive in this industry. And I remember
Oh.
looking at the guy, he was a white guy. I remember looking at him, I said, then who talks to people like us? And he was like,
Mm.
he kind of was like, basically, he gave me the look of like, not us. He didn't say
Wow.
that, but he looked at me like, I don't know, but not us. And that's when I thought, wow. So how do I learn about money and who's going to help us invest money if they don't want to help us till we have money? But we don't have money because we don't understand about money and how to invest. So that pissed me off so bad. And I was like, I'm going to figure out how this works and I'm going to let everybody know how it works for like a reasonable price. That was like what boiled up inside of me. And so I was like, once I figure this out, I want to share with everybody how it works. And that like pissed me off so bad. Third thing that really inspired me to teach. I don't even think you know some of this.
I don't know. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, dude. I don't know, man. I know you real good too. So this is new stuff to me, man.
And
Yeah.
so the third thing was I left that company. I won't say their name. Then I went over to a network marketing company, Primerica. People might be familiar with them because Primerica was like, well, we're all about the little people. We talk to the people who don't have money. We teach them life insurance first, invest in second. So I'm like, that makes sense. They should have life insurance in case they die, then work on building wealth. So I actually became a Primerica life insurance agent. Then I was studying to get my 6 and 63, which I was going to be finally licensed like I wanted to be. And I'm like, I'm going to show that big company, we're the little guys. We're going to help all the little people. And then I realized after I studied to get my 6 and 63 how the game really works. And so once I passed the test, I never filed to get my license because once I was getting ready to file, I realized they was like, well, you have to shut down your YouTube channel and your little stock market education thing you do. And I wasn't monetizing it at that time. They was like, oh, you have to shut that down. You can't have another business or talk outside the financial industry. Number one. Number two, there's like anything you say has to get ran through compliance. I'm like,
Forget that, man.
I'm like, so I'm signing up to be muzzled. I'm signing up to kill my original dream, was to talk freely and teach everybody about how finances work, how the stock market work. And so once I realized that, and then they was like, same thing. Now make a list and go talk to all your friends and family. I'm like, that's no different than the big company who had me make a list, except they
Yeah,
didn't have a
man.
two hundred and
They're
fifty
trying to
thousand
make you
dollar
build that
requirement.
moat so they can control the knowledge, control the wisdom, control the freaking
Yeah.
way to do it, dude.
And so I'm like, everybody wants me to make a list, go talk to my friends and family. I'm like, I might as well do that for myself. And then as I started to get to 6 and 63, I realized everybody gets their mutual funds from the same places, like from American Funds, from Fidelity. It's really like two or three big houses. Everybody gets their funds from, and they just call it something different. And so I remember asking her, like, so when do we actually pick the stocks and the trades and the investments? They're like, oh, we don't pick that. We just put them in one of these funds, and then we got to just go find more people. So it's like, so
Yeah,
we're really just sales reps. They're like,
that's exactly
I mean,
right.
they were like, well, I wouldn't say that, but I mean,
But that's what
I'm
it
like,
is.
I'm
It's a
like, we're really
synonym, at
just
least,
sales
maybe.
reps.
Come
I'm
on,
like, we
man.
don't actually understand how it works. We just go sell people on, like, I'm your friend. I studied this. Bring your money over here. And I think it just pissed me off so bad how the industry works that I was like, I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna do it through my own system. So that those were
Dude,
like the life
I'm
events that inspired me to
I'm
teach.
telling you, man, like my journey, I mean, we met really, I mean, I think we met in like 2015. So I've been doing this stuff for about 3 years. The Flip Lifestyle membership had been going. I'd started speaking and podcasting and doing that stuff as a business expert. But like, bro, I'm telling you, it's so similar the way you tell that story to what happened to us because same thing happened to me. Like something pissed me off. Guys, if you have a negative emotion that is like depression, anxiety, anger, pissed off at your boss, I'm telling you, that's where your motivation will come from. Like you should not
Yes.
run from depression, anxiety, or anger. You should embrace it. You should feel it because it's the spark that will light you up, man. Because when my boss pissed me off and I said, I'm not working for anybody else anymore, and I realized that income equals freedom. That people get good job equals freedom. No, it doesn't. It's just your ability to produce income. You can do that in a million different ways. And then when we quit our jobs, and then a friend of mine asked us, "How did you do that?" We taught her how to do it, and then she quit her job. I was like, "Why
Mm.
did nobody tell me this? Like, why did nobody tell me that you can come up with an idea and generate your own income?" I was taught go to school. So my background, I'm from small
Hmm.
town America. College is the ticket. Go get you a degree that can get a job, and you can get one employer to give you one salary for one life. That's how you do it. And that's total bullshit. It's such bullshit, man. No one told me about multiple streams of income. Nobody told me invest your money. They just said save it in case something goes wrong, right?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm
Right.
like, what? Like, what if it goes right? Like I don't understand it. And like that's what inspired us to start Flip Lifestyle. Like I didn't have to go freaking teach people how to do speaking and online business and podcasting and all that stuff. I could have just wrote off on our little company. But like, man, you get this like realization that like it's I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I'll put my tinfoil hat on. I swear they're trying not to tell us something because people want to protect it for themselves, like this knowledge, this wisdom. And those salespeople, here's what I learned about my investments. One, did not trust the government and my retirement money that I had saved up through teaching for 10 years. I didn't trust that pension was going to be there. It wasn't going to be a lot of money anyway. And I was like, I'm going to pull this out. So I went down and I was like, what do you do when you want to invest? You go to, I'll say a name, Edward Jones. You go to Charles
Yeah.
Schwab. You go to one of these freaking things, right? So
Hmm.
I had a buddy at church. I was like, that guy, he must know what he's doing, right? I go in and we rolled all of our retirements into IRAs, right, in his thing. And I was like, that's
Hmm.
it, man. We're investors now, baby. We got our money in there. This is going to grow. This is going to be good. And I went in, being an entrepreneur, me and you, like we get out, hang out in masterminds, we talk to people, right? So I start hearing all these things about investing in the stock market or maybe investing in real estate, all these different things. And I'm like, I had a couple ideas for my portfolio, right? So I go in and I sit down with him. This is the first time we ever had a real conversation about money. And 10 minutes into that second conversation, I was like, this guy is a salesman. I might as well be buying a car. He did not know half the shit that I was talking about, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
know more than you from a freaking mastermind I went to last weekend. And that's when I was like, forget this, man. I opened my own accounts, started trading my own stuff, started investing my own money. And I can tell you right now, I have outperformed that freaking IRA a lot, a freaking lot. I mean, it's just a lot. And so, man, you gotta like not one, you got to get the knowledge yourself. But man, you get more knowledge by sharing the knowledge you've learned and having conversations with students, with colleagues, with peers, with masterminds, with friends. Like that's where the growth happens in our business and our investment portfolio. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you people don't understand that a lot of what those people do is based, like when they put you in these funds, they'll sell you on like, well, we're going to diversify you. It's designed so that you don't like lose everything, or it's designed just for, but it's like what they're basically saying is we're going to put you in something that's below average, meaning like
Mm-hmm.
there's no, like, it's designed not to lose anything. It's also designed not to make much either.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In most mutual funds, most of these plans, and this is a fact, if you put them up against just putting your money in the S&P 500, the S&P 500 on average returns 11% on average. That doesn't mean every year. It could be 20%, 21% one year, but it could be down 10% the next year. But on average, it'll be like 11% or whatever the case may be. And then it could be up 7% the third year. And then you average the three together, you about 11% over the 3 years. So it's like most of the things people put you in perform less than 11%. Most people just don't even know how to just go and buy the S&P 500. They're like, well, how do you do that? Where do you buy it at? Right.
You
But
click you click
so they
two
just,
buttons in an account. It's not hard, guys. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
it.
Yeah,
That's
man.
it. Right. And so to me, anytime some financial person is like, come join, it's just like, show me where you just outperform the S&P 500 first. Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't outperformed the S&P 500, like, what do I need you for? I
Yeah.
mean, well, for diversification. Well, I'm buying the 500 top stocks that control the U.S. economy. Like, that's diverse, you know. And then they say stuff like, well, what if the S&P 500 goes down? If the S&P 500 goes down, the stuff you got me in is probably going down too,
That's exactly
right? To
right,
me,
dude.
it's such a gimmick. It's such a game.
And it's like, I was so pissed off the first time I ever bought an ETF because, I went in when I first set up my account, not even talking about options. I'm just talking about buying normal things, right? I had, I'd bought, I started out going, I'm going to buy the stocks of things I use. That's kind of a good way to just like anything, like I bought,
Mm-hmm.
I did a semaglutide, I lost 50 pounds on the Ozempic stuff back in like, last couple of years. And if anybody don't like Ozempic, you're crazy as hell because it's a shortcut to life, baby. But like, dude, I lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months. Okay. I immediately bought that Nova Nordisk or whatever that company's called. Right. And because I was like, I'm gonna buy a company I love. This is on the market. I'm like, if my fat butt's losing weight and not eating and eating good now, I know everybody's gonna be able to eat good on this stuff, right? And if weight loss, I mean, we know that's a $1 billion industry or whatever. And dude, that stock went up 92% in the last 2 years, man. Like that's not 10%. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and I was like, gosh, this is crazy. Like, I can get in on stuff like that. But then when I first set up my account, I went, I picked SPY, I bought however many shares, and I'm like, I just bought that. That's just what the mutual fund guy's doing, but he's charging me percentage points on it. He's taking my money. He didn't do it. They didn't do anything. They did the same thing. I can go look at what their portfolio is percentage based on, and I could just do it
Mm-hmm.
myself. You know what I'm saying?
And
And
a
I was
lot
like,
of
this is
times he's not
crazy,
even putting
man.
you in the SPY. He's putting you in their special Edward Jones fund, which is
Yeah,
not the
man.
spot. But that's how they say, like, well, no one has the Jones 267 fund. And it's like, yes, right. But if I go over here to Merrill Lynch, they got the Merrill Lynch 1447 fund. They changed the numbers so each person can call it their special fund. It's a
Yeah.
marketing tactic. Is a
Yeah, man.
marketing
Like
tactic.
one company's got 6% of Apple, one's got 6.1. Or something
Yeah.
stupid like that, man.
And here's the thing what people got to understand. There's only one stock market.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have access to a special market to be like, no one's got this fun. It's
Mm-hmm.
like maybe we didn't put the portfolio together like you said, you got 6.1% Apple, they got 6% Apple. Okay, you did 3% Apple and 3% Amazon and split it between, but not you don't only have special access to Apple and Amazon through Edward Jones or Schwab, but like I could go buy 3% Apple, 3% Amazon too directly.
Yeah.
And so there is no special stock market. It's just people are tricked into, not tricked, but if they don't learn a little bit, then they
Yeah.
just write the whole thing off. And they're like, well, how do you know to pick that? And why did they do that? And I'll just turn it over to him. And
and
that's where they're
and
like,
and you learn
perfect.
it you learn it from people who are doing it, and also, guys, listen, anybody listening to this, I'm a big headed dumb guy from southeast Kentucky. I know Jason, he's good looking, but he ain't so smart. He's from Detroit, you know what I'm saying? We grew up poor. I grew up poor in the woods, he grew up poor in the city, but we decided, we made a decision to learn this stuff for ourselves and to constantly be in conversation, not only with our public audience, but with each other, surrounding ourselves with other people. And we figured it out. Like, you can figure this stuff out. It's not rocket science. It's just basic math and learning a few things for signals and trades. And, you do that stuff and you do it together, man. Like, what I love about the Brown Report, and I've always loved your business. One, we geek out because we love the membership model. We love getting 5,000 people in a collective that are all doing the same thing, baby, every single month. Accessible. People pay. You got to make people pay and invest in themselves. People who pay attention. But at the same time, you start collectively putting that power of that momentum and that feeling, and you're surrounded by other people. You're not alone. You don't have to rely on the guy in the suit to tell you what to do. It's powerful. You can figure. Are you going to screw up? Of course you are. I sold a stock a while back. I can't remember what. I lost money on something. You know what I'm saying? But I was just like, that sucked. Cut my losses. Who cares? Whatever. Let's go do the next one. But you can figure this stuff out. You don't have to have some MBA or Series 649 or whatever hell the government put on there to tax it so they can make some more income. You can do this stuff yourself. So you and I have done very well in our entrepreneur game. I also have a theory. Some people want to be investors. They want to get into real estate, want to get into stocks. But I think you got to have an entrepreneur mindset to be an investor. Like, I think investor is almost something that springs out of that entrepreneurial spirit, because you're in the business of you, man. You're in the business of your money. You know what I mean? So, like, how do you feel like your entrepreneur game and your entrepreneur like soul like bleeds together with that investor mentality, especially in options trading? Because this is much more entrepreneurial than just set it and forget it, right? Like, how do you feel like those two worlds kind of interact?
So the first way that the entrepreneurial journey helps you is to be an entrepreneur, you have to believe in yourself and believe you can learn or execute something. And that carries over into the stock market. So many people don't get started because they don't believe in themselves. They say
Mhm.
stuff, they talk negative self-talk. I'm stupid. I would mess it up. Oh
I
no, I
can't
know me.
fail. I can't fail at anything, because then, oh my God, if I fail at anything, I'll be done, you know?
Yeah, and so my entrepreneurial journey helps me because I believe in myself, first of all. Second, like anything else, I'm like, well, once I learn, the only difference between you and somebody else is the information and then the execution. You could have the information, not execute, then, that creates a wider gap. But if they're human, they breathe oxygen, they bleed red blood, as long as I can learn what they know, I'm like, okay, I can get a similar result. And that's that entrepreneur journey. It's like, let me figure out the system, let me figure out the formula, and then let me figure out how to apply it to me. And when it comes to options trading, when people hear trading, and I want to make sure I make this distinction because people hear trading and they automatically go one way. I don't know why, maybe because this word has been thrown around so much, but they automatically think day trading. If they hear the word trading, like, oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
a day
yeah.
trader.
100%, dude.
That's
And
just,
everybody's got their uncle that lost 400 grand in Day trading. Everybody's
Day
got that
trade.
person. They got burnt because they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is there's swing trading, there's short-term trading, there's long-term trading. And all trading means is I am going to do this as long as the pattern persists. Meaning like IBM was the big company that was going up and up and up for the longest time. And that pattern might have lasted 5 years, 10 years, 3 years. And once that pattern was over, Microsoft started a new pattern, right? And then IBM was no longer big blue. They were getting their market share ate. I'll give people a more recent example. BlackBerry. BlackBerry was the company to own for cell phones, the only one that can get your email on, right? And so there was a pattern where that stock was going up, and we trade that pattern for as long as the pattern's in place. And then Apple came out with an iPhone, and that pattern on BlackBerry changed. And so when you look at options trading, number one, we're trading the pattern for as long as the pattern is working for us. As long as the pattern stops working, we move on to a different stock. That's number one. Number two, when you look at options, we now have the ability to make money no matter if the stock market is going up, down, or sideways. I always tell
Mm.
people those are only three ways that the market moves. It moves up, it moves down, and it moves sideways, meaning stock $17 today, 2 years later, stock's still $17. You can look at Ford stock. It's been in the sideways channel for 17, 21 years. But most people only know how to make money one way, which is what? Buy low, sell high. I realized,
Mm.
like, well, what happens if buy low, sell high doesn't look good? What happens if a pandemic hits? What happens if we're at war with China, war with Russia and Ukraine, and things are going down? Most people are like, I just don't even want to look at my portfolio right now. Whereas we're like, no, we can make money from stocks going down, and that blows people's mind. And when you look at some of my case studies, like last week, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. Well, I posted on Instagram, I had made $50,000
Yeah, I saw
in
that. I
a
saw that.
day and a half. It was pretty much 24 hours, basically. It's $50,000. And that wasn't from the market going up. That was from stocks falling. And
Mm.
most people would go, first thing that people would think who are not familiar with put options would be like, that's a scam. You can't even make money from stocks falling. But it's like, no, you can't make money from stocks falling because you don't know how it works. I can. And
Yeah,
when
man.
someone like me does, because you don't know, your ignorance defaults to the safety lever, which is that's a scam because
Yeah.
you don't know how it works. But that's the same stuff that the big boys are doing. If you watch the movie The Big Short, if anyone who hasn't watched that movie, I encourage them to watch it. Those guys made more money from the real estate market crashing than they did from the government trying to save it. They made more
Wow.
money from it falling because they shorted the housing market. That's what they bought. Essentially, if I put it in stock market terms, they bought put options against the housing market. They bought put options that people would fail paying their mortgages. And when they did and it tanked, they actually made more money from people losing their houses than if they did not losing their houses. Real quick, there's a scene in there where what's his name? Brad Pitt. I don't know what his movie name is, but Brad Pitt in the movie, he was a hedge fund manager, and these guys came to him. These two guys was like, "We need your backing. We need extra funding. We want to buy puts against all these mortgages."
Define
And
put for me for everybody real quick. Like a put option is.
so the best way I can explain put out, everybody is trading put options. They just don't know it. So a put option is what you pay for on your car insurance every single month. It simply says, I have a Cadillac Escalade, $100,000 truck. I pay $500 a month. And for 30 days, I have coverage. And if I smack that truck into a wall and total it, that means it went from $100,000 to zero. I can exercise my put option. I can put this
Mm.
truck that is now worth $0 to the insurance company. Here you go. I'm putting it to you. And the insurance company says, okay, we have to give you $100,000 for it because
Got it.
you were paying $500 a month for that put option, AKA insurance.
And if you
So
and if you don't wreck your car, the 500 goes away. That's it. They
500
get the.
goes away.
Yeah, that's all it is, man.
That's what a put option is. You are buying insurance on a instrument in case it crashes, in case it
Mm.
falls. And we do it every day. We buy life insurance, we buy homeowners insurance, we buy car insurance. Just they don't say, do you want to buy a put option? They say, do you want to buy insurance?
Mm.
In the movie, those guys are like, we want to buy put options against all these mortgages. and they start celebrating like we're going to be rich, we're going to be rich. And I'll never forget this moment in the movie. Brad Pitt was like, "Stop celebrating. This isn't funny." And they're like, "What's wrong with you? We're going to be rich." He was like, "Yes, we're going to make a lot of money, but if you're right, millions of people are going to lose their homes and be out on the streets."
Mm.
But that didn't stop him from funding the put outs.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. Yeah, right, exactly.
Money.
That's the reality of it. It's going to happen. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's kind of the same thing with these companies. Like, the truth is, and if you're an entrepreneur, everybody listening, you know this, companies rise and companies fall, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? So now it's just like, am I going to invest in this company? Am I going to put the option on this company? The put op, like, yeah, these things are going to happen, and this is the way it is, and this is the way the money works. So now you have access to that information. You have access to this is going to happen whether you like it or not. It's just, are you on the sidelines or are you actually involved in the rise and fall, in the profit or in the loss? That's all you're really deciding on yourself.
And here's the thing, though. This is what happens in the world and in the economy, which is people like the people in that movie who get rich, the poor people, the people who lost their jobs, the banks that went under, those people who are out on the streets, they looked at those people and say, they're crooks. How did they do this? How did they make money? And I lost my job. It had nothing to do with you being a Christian or not. It had nothing to do with them being a good father or a good mother. It had nothing to do with them going to take communion, right? None of that mattered. What mattered is they had the knowledge of how to make money, whether the market goes up, down, or sideways.
Which is going to happen whether you have an opinion on it or not. It does not matter, man.
They're just playing a different game with specialized knowledge.
This is something I do in my life too, dude, man. I go, like everybody gets all, man, I hate talking politics with people. I hate talking religion with people. I hate, like my mom the other day was like, "Oh, what are you going to do if Trump gets elected?" I'm going to say, I'm going to look at the game. What's the new game? What rules change? Hey, if they change the play clock, I'm a football coach, to 20 seconds and it used to be 40, I can gripe, moan, complain, quit coaching, do whatever I want. Or, guys, we got to get out of the huddle faster. We got to figure out how to get up to the line. We may have to run a no huddle off. We're gonna have to do hand signals this year. I can't run the play in. Like, you got to figure out the game, and you got to figure out what you can control in the game to make sure you're not one of the people that lose the house, that do the thing. And guys, don't give me freaking tweets and stuff about being. You're talking to two of the most ethical, faithful, loyal people on the planet Earth. But it's the game. It's reality, and you have to be practical about this stuff, or you're not going to ever be able to take advantage of it.
And it's not about being non-ethical. It's just the reality is the market moves three ways: up, down, sideways.
That's the beast.
I'm tired of people when it goes down, they're like, I lost everything. I'm tired of people when it goes down, they're like, there goes my retirement. The number one thing people said during COVID when it happened, it's like my 401k turned into a 201k. It got cut in half. And I'm supposed to retire this year. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm tired of people being on that side. And then there's other people who are like, I made the most money I've ever made during COVID when the market tanked.
100%, dude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, but this knowledge is available to everybody. It has nothing to do with ethics. It has everything to do with, do you know how to profit in good times? Do you know how to profit in bad times? And when you know how to profit in both, you don't care who's president. You don't care what war is going on.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump never made me a sandwich. Neither one of them. You know what I'm saying? they never put a pack of ham in my refrigerator. Nobody has, dude. You got to do it yourself.
And guess what? It's going to happen every 4 years.
It is.
Bare minimum every
forever.
8. Bare minimum every 8, unless somebody gets 2 terms.
Yeah, man. At this point, too, we're just going to be rolling out people like Weekend at Bernie's with the candidates we've got now, too, man. So you better stop relying on those dead superstars and freaking get in the market and do something yourself. Okay, so now I will say this. This is my philosophy. I don't know. Jason's more of an investor guy. He made his money investing. I made my I'm a firm evangelist in entrepreneurship. Right, that's what made me a millionaire, was being an entrepreneur. But I got this, I started really investing about 2 years ago in the stock market. Got into real estate for a while and sold all that crap. I hate that junk. I know people kill it, and you can be a millionaire in a lot of ways. But like my thing is, I want to be a stock market millionaire, Jason Brown. I want to look in my portfolio, and I want $1 million staring. I can see it in other places, but I want to see $1 million. I want to be in the next wave of stock market millionaires. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the next wave going to look like? Like, how can we? Whether you're an entrepreneur or hey, if you got an income, you've got money to invest, right? Like, what's the path to become just a high level of becoming a stock market millionaire, man? Having those investments that are not only it's not that ain't a bank account, people. When you got $1 million in the stock market, you look up quarterly and you get more money from dividends. You look up at the end of the year and your portfolio went up and you just generated money out of thin air, man. You talk about that's passive income, and we got to work for the entrepreneur stuff. So like, how do you get in that next wave of being a stock market millionaire?
And then people don't understand you can become the insurance company and you can rent your stock out. You can rent your stock out like you rent houses out and get a monthly recurring income by selling options against your stock. So there's so many strategies that you're not being taught. You're just being taught buy and hold, stick it in the 401k, and come back in 40 years and hope that it's there. And that's what we're going to be talking about, the next wave of millionaires, because we're at a unique time in history. And I believe mathematically, I believe you only get about 3 opportunities in your lifetime with respect to the stock market. I mean, I'm talking about big cycles. And if you think about it, when I was Microsoft was already here when I was a kid, but I was starting to hear rumblings about like all these people made their money off Microsoft. Then when I kind of came up through like the dot-com boom, that's when like Apple was just getting going. We started to live through companies like Netflix coming
Amazon,
through,
all that stuff. Yeah.
Amazon, Google. Google was launched when we were in college, and then look at the juggernaut it became. And now you're starting to see, at least in my lifetime, probably the next wave. You just start to see the electrification of vehicles, which is starting to happen. It's almost like being alive when people went from horse and buggy and Ford was building the Model T. And people probably was like, that's not going to work. Who wants a car? It's too expensive. How much does it cost to replace an engine? Now you cannot get around without a car. They were probably like, where do you even get gas from? There's no gas stations. It is the same thing with electrification of vehicles. You're like, where do I charge it? There's not even enough stations. The batteries, da 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 da. Trust me, the next wave is happening right now. You also got AI taking place.
Lord
That
have
is the
mercy.
biggest transformation in
In
technology
history,
since the personal computer, since the iPhone.
this is bigger than COVID, and people don't even realize it's going to affect us. I'm seeing it in our business. I'm seeing it like I'm already like, dang man, there are going to be people lose their jobs. There's going to be people don't even know what this thing can do yet, man, and it's going to blow up and just change that's what's on my mind is AI, just from seeing it in the online space so much, man.
Yeah,
Marketing is changing, sales has changed, like every offers are changing. Me and you, we're changing our business to keep up with all the AI stuff right now, man. It's crazy.
exactly. And what people don't understand, sometimes people hear AI and they think, okay, and I don't like to be a sensationalist. I hate sensational content. Like AI, just say AI, and people, AI is going to create the next millionaires, but specifically, it's going to create the next millionaires in the stock market. Why? Because there's new investment going into infrastructure. When you
Yeah.
type in a response in Chat GPT, for it to give you back that fast, they need faster computer chips. If they need faster computer chips, they need faster hardware. If they need faster hardware, what do they need? That's usually in the hardware. Faster copper. Copper is what's
Yeah.
transferring the data across the line. So who's the biggest copper companies? Who's producing that? So money is shifting from where it's being spent to these new industries, these new companies, and that's creating new opportunity to invest in new stocks. People probably only know about Nvidia, but there's hundreds of other companies similar to
They got to
Nvidia
get
that's
all that
not
silicone and chips
$1,200.
and all that stuff into the plant, man. You know what I'm saying? There's people behind that in the supply chain, you know?
Exactly. So that's why I said it's going to create the next wave of millionaires, because it's the next wave of opportunity, the next wave of where money is going. And you don't have to be the person writing code and figuring it out. You can hook your caboose to the companies who are either building it or selling and licensing the technology. But if
Mm.
you don't know where to go, you could also be in the next garbage stock like AMC or GameStop that really
Yeah.
has no real legs to it. and you pick the wrong one. But just having that information and knowing how to play the game with stocks and options is what will allow you to capitalize on it and become a millionaire, not in 40 years, but in 5 years or less. And that's
Cool,
the
man.
key.
Nice, man. Listen, man, this is great, dude. We could talk forever on this stuff. You're gonna be. I'm starting this new thing. I want regulars on the show. I'm gonna make Jason Brown a regular, guys. We're just gonna bring him in for a quarterly stock report or something like that on the Shane Sam show. So, mainly so I know what the hell's going on, but just so you guys can kind of listen in and know what you're going through. But if people want to learn more about this, man, they want to see what you do. I actually only follow you for option stuff. Like I don't follow anybody else. Like I just stopped. Like I literally like if I'm gonna watch some content on options trading and stuff, I'm going to the Brown Report, my boy Jason Brown. Tell everybody where they can find you. I know you do like lots of free trainings and stuff. So what's the home base where they can see all the stuff you're doing and they can find out all the information about Jason Brown?
So the Brown Report is my personal brand. Power Trades University is our business brand where we teach people all about stocks and options. And then I know you probably have a comment section or a link in the description because we're going to be doing a training that you can invite people to if they want to check it out. But we're going to be talking
Okay.
about the next wave of millionaires where I'm going to be breaking down how stocks and options work. And if you listen to this in the future, we should have a replay up for a little bit of time. But yeah, we're going to be breaking it down. The next wave of millionaires, how they're going to be created and how you can take advantage of it in the stock market. Specifically, I'm going to be walking through why this timing right here, right now, over the next 1 to 3 years is so important. And I'm going to be breaking down how to use calls and put options to take advantage of it and grow their account. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, we all know, like anybody, that we're responsible for our own retirement. And so
Yeah.
there is no company 401k. There is no goal, wristwatch, and a pension at the end for us because we have to build our own retirement. So all roads lead to the stock market. So you might as well get educated now. Even if you're going to outsource it, you need to understand how it works so that you know if your financial guy is looking you in the eye and just being a salesman, or does he or she really know what they're talking about. So they can check me out at thebrownreport.com. The programs out at Power Trades University, and definitely check out the link that you're going to share for the free training that we're going to do on the next wave of millionaires.
Always a pleasure, brother. Love you, man.
I appreciate you saying.
All right, guys, that wraps up my interview with Jason Brown. I'm going to have him back on the show on the regular, guys, so we can all grow as entrepreneurs, as investors, and get him in front of you guys so we can learn more. We'll break down options maybe next time really deep. We'll do a good teaching episode of doing that. But I'm so happy to introduce you to Jason Brown. Make sure you go over to thebrownreport.com. Follow him on YouTube. He's got a lot of great free content that he puts out there. He really holds nothing back. And if you want to get into the stock market, you want to learn how to do options, you want to learn how to do all the things that we talked about today, make sure you check out Jason on social media and on YouTube and at thebrownreport.com. And man, I love Jason's story, man. A guy that built it all, lost it all, built it all again, and now he's helping people out in the world by sharing his story and sharing his journey and documenting it along the way. And that's what we do over at shanesams.com, man, through my program. It's called Story Pitch. If you're a speaker, an author, a coach, or an entrepreneur, and you need a powerful career-defining presentation that captivates and converts, Story Pitch can help you do it. Imagine having a world-class, elite team of storytellers, creators, and supporters to come around you like you're the host of Saturday Night Live, and you got this whole team that's writing scripts, doing storyboards, building sets, helping you in rehearsal, and getting you ready to go out on stages or social media or podcast interviews or webinars or even in your sales pages. And you could tell your story. You could turn your life story into an epic as grand as Lord of the Rings. And you could go out and you could move the audience and you could get them to take the action that you want them to take. We help you transform your story so you can transform your life and you can take your message out and transform the world. So if you'd like to learn more about Story Pitch and all the things we do there, head over to shanesams.com. You can find all the information about Story Pitch right on the home screen. And we'd love to help you take your story out and move the masses to make massive action happen. But that is all the time we got for this week, y'all. Thank you so much for listening to the Shane Sam Show. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe it. Make sure you send it to some friends. Go leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. And make sure you're tuning in every single week. I've got some great guests coming up. I got some great stories to share. And we're going to entertain you, and we're going to hang out with y'all on the way. I forgot what I was going to say there. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time, go light it up, y'all. I'll see you then.